Welcome to the State of Wyoming Subject Matter Minute, where we cover a wide variety of subjects related to State of Wyoming employment. This information is for you and me, the state employee. From hidden benefits to systems and processes, we'll make your job easier by giving you the lowdown, the how-to, and hopefully entertain you a bit along the way. And now, today's Subject Matter Minute.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Subject Matter Minute. I'm Matt Nagy. Thanks for joining me. So I'm going to try to keep my energy up, but I'm not going to lie, it might be difficult. I've had a couple rough days. We had to put down our kitty last night. And unfortunately, putting her down was actually probably the best part of the day because she was dying all day and it was tough. She was uncomfortable, wanted to move around, could barely walk, kept falling back down. And so it was torture waiting for the vet to get there. So it was a rough day, a lot of crying, I'm sorry for any of you out there who have recently dealt with this or are dealing with this. And I know so many of you have at one point or another, been so long for me because my last pet before the cat was my college dog. So 25 years ago. But luckily, this episode is about good news. Today, let's talk about raises. I know a lot of us long-timers have been uncertain whether we would ever see a raise again, but this is good news. Raises are happening and they're happening soon. I'm going to give you the background information and timelines of the process, okay? And since the state will probably or could use the same process in the future, this video should be evergreen for those of you who are watching it down the road. First of all, the process to get our July raises started years ago. HRD uses 6 different salary surveys that are vetted and published yearly. Okay? Each year when the surveys are published, HRD compares our current pay tables and actual employee pay to the relevant labor market, which includes both states and private business. So we're trying to compare apples to apples when they're doing this. If we look at the timeline over the last 2 years, it may shed a little light onto why it's not uncommon for the data to be up to 2 years old by the time raises take effect. All right, so in 2020, the market data was collected and published towards the end of the calendar year. In 2021, in spring of 2021, HRD performed its market analysis and submitted proposals to the governor. Then in the fall of 2021, the governor reviewed the proposals, compared them to the revenue forecast submitted by the Consensus Revenue Estimating Group, CRAG, maybe you've heard of it, and made a recommendation to the legislature. Then in the spring of 2022, as you know, the legislature made adjustments and approved the compensation package for pay increases. Okay, next I want to break down what some of HRD's market analysis looks like and how it led to the proposal that was eventually adopted. Each year, a bunch of turnover metrics are tracked and published. Employees write letters relating to issues with pay. HRD also sent out an employee satisfaction survey. They look at recruitment data and how long it takes to fill a position once it's advertised. They also look at vacancy rates and how many positions sit vacant because we can't fill them. Market data and cost to move employees to the new market rate is calculated. All of this is compiled in the workforce report, which can be found on ANI's website. And it also can be found in the Subject Matter Minute number 51, where I cover it. Now, given the severity of the current market lag, how far we are behind market, HRD took the information a step further and compiled a 157-page document called Compensation Facts. This was sent to the JAC last December to support pay table movement and pay increases for us. So in this document, instead of simply looking statewide, as HRD often does with these sorts of documents, each agency had their own highlights, which allowed directors to talk to the legislature about pay issues in their agency. This seemed to help with the process. At the time the Compensation Facts book was published, the executive branch was $97.8 million per year behind the 2020 market in employee pay. We work on a 2-year biennium, which means to move employees to the 2020 market rate would have been an ask of almost $196 million. So HRD created a more realistic plan to try to get employees closer to the market without breaking the bank. The first step, move the pay tables to the new market rates. The second step, implement a market merit matrix. The market merit matrix, easy for me to say, the market merit matrix allocates a percent increase to an employee based on our performance and the relationship of our pay to the MPP, which is the midpoint of the pay grade. The last time a matrix was implemented was in 2015. Some of you may remember that. With the support of the governor and the legislature, the executive branch was ultimately awarded $37.2 million in general funds to adjust employee compensation. So how do we know exactly what each employee's pay raise is today? Well, we don't. Our workforce is anything but static. The first step is to move the pay tables to the 2020 rates from where we currently are, which is 2017. Okay? The state compensation policy requires that each employee be paid at least at the minimum of that pay range. Okay? So the first step is to move all the employees that get left behind up into that pay range. Once everyone is at the new minimum, the market merit matrix is implemented. Because the workforce is constantly in motion with new hires, transfers, and terminations, HRD had to implement a cutoff date of April 1st, meaning that our pay and position details as of April 1st will determine our increase. Now, if you experienced a job change or a pay change after April 1st, please talk to your agency HR and see whether you're eligible for a merit increase. Here's what the matrix looks like without the actual percents in it. Here's where the percent raise will be once the table is finished. So the yellow fields on top, numbered 7 through 1, are an individual's position and range based on the percent of market. So bottom 10% here, all the way to the top 10% here. The performance aspect of the matrix, rows 0 through 14, are based on the employee's PMI score from the 2020-2021 review period. As you know, we only see a word score at the end of our evaluation, so meets expectations or commendable. The decimal point figure in the matrix comes from a background calculation that takes the total number of points awarded on the PMI and divides them by the number of scored competencies. This allows incremental improvement in work areas to be reflected in pay. As an example, let's say a non-supervisor gets the following scores on their 6 competencies. Each has a point value associated with it. You add these points, divide by 6, because there are 6 competencies, and that is your score with a decimal point. A supervisor would do the same, but would add up 8 competencies and divide those by 8. The next big question you're probably interested in is, when will we know what our raises will be? HRD is currently working to allocate the matrix dollars and will send out individual letters with our matrix details, percent raise, and new pay rate by the end of June. Our raise, or our market adjustment, is effective July 1st. Okay, this means you will see the difference in your July paycheck at the end of July. Please know that HRD's work does not and has not stopped with this allocation and the matrix they are building. As mentioned earlier, HRD performs a market analysis every year. The JAC has made employee compensation an interim priority topic for further discussion this year, which means that even as these raises take effect, discussions on employee pay are ongoing, happening in the background, which hopefully could mean good news down the road as well. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching the Subject Matter Minute. Here's to raises. See you next time.
You have been watching the Subject Matter Minute with Matt Nagy. Please help us out by subscribing. And join us next month when we'll cover another topic of interest for all State of Wyoming employees. Again, thank you for joining us on the Subject Matter Minute.